Joining me now is author and political commentator Shamika Michelle.
When God looked at man, he said it's not good for man to be alone. He gave him a woman. He didn't give him a village. He didn't give him the community. He said, be fruitful and multiply to this man and this woman. So it's supposed to be God, husband, wife.
If you always do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always done.
Hello, and happy 2026. I feel like it takes me until at least February, maybe even March, to remember the year that we're in. And I feel like as soon as I get comfortable with the current year, it's a new year, because that's how it happens. When you're young, life takes forever. And then when you're older, it flies by. I swear, I feel like it was just 2025 and now it's 2026. I hope you all had a very happy and restful holiday season. Things were pretty good for me for Christmas. Those of you who know me know that I'm usually a Grinch. I'm Scrooge, whatever you want to call it. Since like late teens or going into my adult years, something happened and I just started to hate Christmas. And I would really struggle with winter blues. It was just a really hard time for me. Sometimes I would put up a Christmas tree. Sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes I would be happy. Sometimes I wouldn't. For the second consecutive year, I put up a Christmas tree. And although we decided in my family not to exchange gifts, I gave out a few gifts just because I wanted to thank my family for putting up with me. Just a sign of appreciation for anything that they do. I gave out a few gifts. I wasn't a Scrooge or a Grinch this year. And the new year, New Year's Eve, it turned out nicely, but I will say I was kind of sad initially because my middle child, who's normally the DJ when I do New Year's Eve, we always have food and a good time. She didn't come home. And so it started out a little sad, but then it was, it was great. I laughed, I ate, I had a good time. And then New Year's Day, or I would say the morning after, wee early mornings, the plate called life, the plate called life, apparently it was a paper plate, it broke. And so now I am in the midst of cleanup on aisle 9. That's where I am right now, but I am grateful to be back with you all. I hope you had a wonderful holiday, that Christmas was great, you had no tragedies, and that you're here bright and shiny with bells on, wanting to get through the paperwork of TPUSA. That's where we ended in 2025. And I want to stay committed to just getting through all of these pages that I was sent again from this accountant who did some forensic accounting in reference to TPUSA. This wasn't a result of Charlie Kirk's death. This had already been done. It was updated after the death. So this person, or this accountant, didn't really have a dog in the fight. It wasn't about Charlie or Candace versus Erica. It was none of that. This was just something They were alerted to, they did the digging, they pulled piece by piece away from the spider web. And it made me shake my head when it was presented to me. And because this is Shaking My Head with Shamik Michelle, I decided to present it to you. Now, I've had a couple of people get upset that I'm sharing this information, and we're going to get to what I'm discussing today. It won't really take me that long to pull the covers off of Jake Hoffman. I'm going to get to that. But there are people in the comments upset that I'm actually giving out this information. I have seen, you've gone off the deep end just like Candace Owens. I'm disappointed by you, as if I wake up every morning seeking and searching for this particular person who I can't even remember his screen name, validation. There's a cat woman in the comments leaving long thesis. Candace is a demon and you aren't Christian for supporting her. Listen, all of this was prior to, again, Charlie Kirk's assassination. But I found it very interesting, which is why I wanted to share it. There was someone else saying good information, wrong platform. No one's listening to you respectfully. That's what they said. Respectfully, go to hell. Okay? Because I think it's very illogical to say no one's listening while clearly you are listening. So I don't know if you call yourself a nobody, but I was always told I know I'm somebody because God don't make no junk. And if I'm the only person there, then I would never say nobody because I'm somebody. I told you all in the beginning. I'm just giving the information. I'm telling you all how the information made me feel, but it is up to the people who actually donate whether they find this information useful. And I'm not the only person with this information or putting information out here for the public. If you look at, I think it's Finance Wolves or Wolves of Finance, they put out information. They've done some digging. Project Constitution, I think is the name of the page on X. They've done some digging. So for people that are saying she has no idea what she's talking about, this is normal. It may be normal. And I told you before, I'm not saying it's illegal. I am saying, though, there are things here that make you go, Now, Catwoman, all in my comments, thesis writer, give all of your savings. Everything that you have saved for cat litter, cat cleanup, cat food, catnip, whatever. Give it all. I don't care. But stop saying there's nothing here or there's nothing to see if there's really nothing to see. Because when there's nothing to see, people don't see it. Because there's nothing to see. Y'all sound crazy. Again, I told you, you're not going to get me to turn around. I'm going to finish what I started. And then I want to look into, or we have already looked into, the favorite Democrat right now, Jasmine Felicia Crockett. We're going to talk about Bye Felicia because that's where she needs to go. We're going to get into that because I had the privilege of talking to some people in Felicia's past. So this isn't the first time people have been wanting to say bye Felicia. I'm going to share all of that as soon as we get through Turning Points, 990s, all of their filings. We're going to get to that. And then something that caught my interest today, And because of just my own life experience and seeing the life experience of other people, this caught my eye. I want to somehow delve into this topic. um, Matt Walsh. There was some conversation today about men needing therapy. And for those of you who have been following since pretty much Shaking My Head launched in August, you know that I had a men's week and I had a man on talking about mental, as he calls it, mental hygiene, which is mental health. And so there's this debate going on X right now. And Matt Walsh says, um, initially he said men should be quiet. And then this woman says, no, men should go to therapy. And then Matt Walsh says, as a general rule, grown men should not go to therapy. Most therapists are liberal women who couldn't possibly have any useful advice to give them. Most people who go to therapy are also women. That's because sitting around and talking about your feelings is inherently feminine. Men don't solve their problems that way. As I've said before, therapy could only be even potentially useful for a man if the therapist is a man older than him. But there are almost no straight male therapists over the age of 50 in the industry. It's all women in their 30s and 40s with degrees in social work and dysfunctional personal lives. A grown man would be better off seeking life advice from any random dude at the hardware store. And I have to say that I wouldn't want my husband sitting with a liberal woman trying to tell him some good life advice. I also, when I read this, I thought about because he also talks about marriage counseling in the post, that no divorced people should be marriage counselors. It made me think of something that recently happened here, like in the last couple of months. There's a couple here that by just by looking at them outside, looking in, everything seemed great in their lives. He was very, very successful, well off. They had 2 children they raised, beautiful kids. The wife became a marriage counselor. And about 2 months ago, and of course, we all thought that was a great job for her because they had been together for like 30 plus years. About 2 months ago, he jumped from a bridge. And so I do want to talk about um just therapy in general. One of my frustrations as a woman, and again, if we talk about therapy when it comes to men, we will have male guests. I'm not going to be a woman trying to tell men uh, how to get therapy or whatever. I just want to have the conversation. But from a female perspective, one of my frustrations with therapy right now, as Matt Walsh was saying, there's so many just liberal women in their 30s and 40s uh, telling people from terrible life experiences. I am finding that a lot of therapists, and I'm watching this with not just myself, but people close to me. Therapists are really telling people everything is trauma. Everything is bad. What you're dealing with is just so awful. You really should just uh, close yourself off, isolate yourself, not offer any type of forgiveness or forgiveness. You can forgive, but you don't forget. I am seeing a lot of millennial therapists very just acting as if they're traumatized and telling all of their clients that they're so traumatized. Your parents were just so terrible to you. You should get away from your parents, have no contact with your parents. And people are following this. And I will say, as someone who was raised, or I was born to a woman who was 15 years old, my mother didn't have it all down pat. I don't have it all down pat. But one of the things that I feel like had blessed me was not sitting in a therapist's office telling me that my mother was this evil person that I should just never talk to again. I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of families saying we don't talk because we have different political views, and I don't want, just a bunch of foolishness, a bunch of silliness. And so eventually that's a topic I want to get into. Men, I know that you love being here and you love listening, but I also want to get into menopause, because the truth shall make us free. It's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. I've promised some young people that I will have some relationship. I'm searching for the word, searching for the word, searching for the word. My mother is texting me as if I didn't just say my plate broke in the middle of my broadcast about something else I need to do, that I need to take care of. It's just not the time. But thank you, Mom. Thank you. I've promised some young people that we'll have some relationship talks here. I wanted to do it before the new year came in, didn't get to it. We will get to that. So 2026, we have a lot of discussions that we're going to have, a lot of things that cause me to shake my head, and I'm just going to present it. Head shakers, let the chips fall where they may. Again, hello to everybody. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Sharisa. Hi, Miguel. Hi, Girly Samurai Esquire. She says she's so happy I'm back in these YouTube streets. Me too. Hi, King Reek. They are promoting weak minds. Absolutely. And we're going to have these discussions because they cause me to shake my head, and maybe we can shake our heads together. Maybe you can tell me I'm shaking mine too hard or whatever. I don't know, but I appreciate each of you for being here. Last episode, we talked about how insider linked LLCs were paid through the nonprofit side of Turning Point. Today, we are going to move into a different arena, PAC money, where disclosure rules change and stakes get higher. If the pattern stopped with fundraising, that would be a thing. That would be one thing. The accountant's reports shows it doesn't. So PACs operate under different rules than charities. They can spend directly on elections, advertising, and political consulting. And they often pay vendors that charities can't. If insiders are being paid here too, that's not accidental, that's structural. So for all of the people saying there's nothing to see here, this is normal, this isn't accidental. It's structural. So Jake Hoffman was a senior communications figure connected to Turning Point and later became deeply involved in political consulting. Actually, in 2018, Arizona State Senator, he was Arizona State Senator Jake Hoffman. And he was the communications director for Turning Point. And per his X account, he also had an ad agency. He was ad agency CEO. Okay. Why this matters, or why Jake matters? Because the investigative accountant flagged Hoffman because multiple companies tied to him received payments from Turning Point entities and its PACs over several years. So here are the companies. We had company number 1, which is called 110 LLC. If you've been following Finance Wolves or Project Constitution, as I mentioned earlier, they actually were able to go out to these places, to the address that is 110 LLC, and it took them to a strip mall, a shopping mall, where there was no business there. There was no business. They later came back and said that there is a UPS store there. And what it seems is that 110 LLC is using a box there in the UPS store to receive mail, to receive these large checks. But there is no actual physical address for 110 LLC. This Arizona state senator. However, he was paid by Turning Point PAC over $2.1 million in 2024. Company 110 LLC was paid over $1.1 million in 2022 and over $500K in early 2025. That's millions flowing through a PAC to a company owned by someone inside the same political ecosystem. We talked about these different nonprofits or the maze and how people are setting up these companies. This is millions flowing through a PAC to this one person, Jake Hoffman. We know that him and Kirk were very close friends. Jake and Charlie Kirk were very close friends. This is just a reminder from the last show that Charlie Kirk actually, right prior to his death, wanted a Doge audit. I would say he saw something, I don't know, maybe at the time everybody was just talking Doge, 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 and it was popular, but this is what he wanted from TPUSA. He sent a letter out as the founder, and he wanted this to be done. As of January 5th, 2026, the Doge style audit hasn't happened. And for the people saying, oh, Turning Point was audited every year, this is, the Doge style audit would not have been requested from Charlie Kirk if it had already been done. Please, people, I need you all to just use your brains for just a little bit. Whatever you can squeeze and muster up out of your brain, just please. Nobody would take the time to write a letter and send it out to the people who work for you if it had just already been done. This was something that he saw needed to happen, and so he wanted it done, and it never happened because we all know he was assassinated. The second company owned by Jake Hoffman is Rally Forge LLC. This company was paid by TPUSA plus Turning Point Action plus the PACs. Jake Hoffman, or Rally Forge LLC, was paid over $4.2 million from Turning Point entities. He received an additional $2.18K from the Arizona GOP PAC. So here we have a different company name. We have 110 LLC, but then we also have Rally Forge LLC, different company name, same person, same payer network. Do we understand? So this company or companies, Jake Hoffman, received over $9.8 million. Over $9.8 million was paid to Hoffman-linked companies. That's not incidental, y'all. That's a pipeline. It looks really suspicious for this man to be receiving all of this money. And what I find strange is, let's say for Rally Forge, who received $218,000 from the Arizona Republican Party PAC, this was for texting services. I don't know about you, but I could figure out how to text something real good for $218,000. But his company was paid $218,000 for texting services. I told you all before when we were discussing this, many times they had very vague descriptions of what the company does, and the companies only typically service Turning Point entities. Many of these people don't advertise that this is what they do anywhere else. Sometimes they don't even have websites. Initially, the 110 LLC was hard to find, but there's like a weird website. Let me see if I can tell you the exact website for it. It's something that you wouldn't just go looking for generally. Like, it's not 110llc.com. It's nothing like that. It's something very strange that was uncovered. This is just a disclosure statement. But it's something very hard to find. And even when you find the website, it doesn't have much information on there. Very strange to be bringing in this type of money for texting services and what have you, and you don't even have a strong web presence. Like, absolutely nothing. I'm little old me. And if you go to look for ShamikaMichelle.com, it exists. It needs work, but it exists. So it's hard to imagine that a company making almost that who has gotten almost $10 million would be so rinky-dink that the web presence is horrible. The address is a strip mall. It seems very suspicious to me. But again, there are going to be people in the comments who say, oh, this is normal. You don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing to see here. Fundraising fees are one thing. Political consulting paid through PACs is another. This is where donor money becomes electoral influence. The accountant's documents, the accountant has documented that when the money moves into PACs, the same insider-linked vendor pattern continues. This is the escalation. I don't understand why the alarms aren't ringing for so many people. Maybe you just like people who work for Turning Point and you want everything to be innocent. Maybe you love Charlie Kirk. And so it's hard for you to assume that there's anything or grasp it that there could be anything shady happening with TPUSA. But again, the accountant that gave me this information, I'm not the only one trying to blow the whistle. Blow the whistle. I'm not the only one. So if I don't know what I'm talking about, wolves of finance or finance wolves, whatever their name is, who do this for a living, We all are just, I guess, barking up the wrong tree to have y'all tell it. In episode 5, I think it was, we saw insider LLCs on the nonprofit side. And right now we're seeing the same structure on the PAC side. Different rules, same behavior. Maybe y'all can tell me why that is. The next question, I think, is obvious. May not be obvious to some of you. There's nothing to see here. You don't know what you're talking about. But I think the next question is obvious. If insiders are paid on the nonprofit side and the PAC side, what about the media side? That's what I want to know. What about the media side? So we're going to get to talking about some of these companies where the money is flowing through publishing, media companies, and political messaging, including some very recognizable names. I'm not making this stuff up, people. And for those who are saying, oh, you have on a tinfoil hat, you're making this up. Again, I want to remind you all that these are public filings. You can actually take the time, the energy, the effort, as this investigative accountant did, and find all of this information. I'm not pulling this out of my behind. To be honest, if it wasn't presented to me, it's not even something that I would have gone looking for. I would not have taken the time, the energy, or the effort to look into this. This spider web of finances, I wouldn't have looked into. I have a daughter who is interested in forensic accounting. Maybe this is something she might have done, once she's done with her master's, whatever. This is not something I would have ever looked into. But I found it very interesting as someone who travels the country speaking at political fundraising events. I actually just did one in October. I know the donor's home, which was massive, elaborate, very nice, who hosted this event, also hosts Turning Point events. So they've put a lot of money into this. So although I never would have gone looking for this information on my own, when it was brought to me as someone who has been in these people's homes, eaten their food, really tried to motivate them to give, it was concerning to me, and it bothered me. And listen, if there's something nefarious going on, I'm saying burn it all down. Because I don't like for people to be railroaded. I don't like for people to be tricked and lied to. I don't care if they have $1 or $1 million. You may feel like, oh, they got this money easy and they didn't have to, get it out the mud. So who cares if I just take a little bit for myself? I don't feel that way. So when it was brought to my attention, after knowing I was just in somebody's house, eating some nice, delicious caviar, knowing that these people, as kind as they were, as open as they were, also donates to Turning Point, I had an issue with what I was seeing. So I can't say I don't have a dog in the fight and be completely the truth. That's my dog in the fight. This is what I do outside of doing Fearless with Jason Whitlock or Shaking My Head with Shamika Michelle. I travel, I do political speaking. Some of it's at fundraiser events. And these people have families. And I don't care how much they have, if they've worked hard to get it. I don't think they should just be tossing it away without knowing what's happening to the money. That's just me. That's just who I am. So that's my dog in the fight. When it comes to Turning Point specifically, like I don't have any enemies there. You know, there is not necessarily personal. I can't just rattle off names of people over there and say, yeah, I don't like them or whatever. It's not that. It's that I do this and I think everything should be on the up and up. I really do. Miguel says, my therapy is going to the Most High and Messiah, not a human with an office and a piece of paper hanging on the wall, a bill to go along with that. And you will get a bill. As a life coach, Miguel, I would hand that bill right on out. So you will get a bill. King Reek says the generations get weak and wiser. They do, which is a crazy combination. And we can see it. They're getting weaker and wiser. Wiser because I look at technology and I'm like, wow, we can do these types of things. Some of these young people or younger than me people, you know, coming up with some of this stuff. It's like, wow, they're so wise. I know my grandmother probably thinks that. There was a time when there were no cell phones. So she has gone from probably having to dial in to the operator for the operator to call whoever or whatever, and not having a home phone to now just having a cell phone. And at 91, she'll be 92 next month. I'm watching her still try to figure this stuff out. So they're definitely wiser. But then when I look at the fact, and I will never forget this, when my kids were in elementary school, I had gone to field day and they played tug of war. And clearly, one side won, one side lost. It was tug of war. You only have two teams. These kids, I watch them as they celebrate. I watch them get disciplined for celebrating. And I watched the teacher tell these kids there were no losers. There was a first and second place with tug of war. Clearly, there's only one team that can win, one team that loses. And now we've started with all of the participation trophies. We just want to give you something for being here and doing nothing. You didn't win one race, one competition, but you were here. You participated. You showed up. Here's the same size trophy as the person who ran and left y'all all in the dust. Getting a lot weaker. A lot weaker. All of these people sitting around talking about how traumatized they are because they got a hangnail on their pinky finger. You are a lot weaker. Hi, always, Burns. Thank you for being here. Is this I never know. Chloe me. Thank you, Carolyn. Carolyn says, thank you. My daughter hasn't talked to me forever. She went to college, took some stupid bullshit survey. She went crime, telling everyone what a magical childhood she had, to now she was abused. And that's what they're teaching people, Carolyn. And as a parent, I my heart goes out to you, because one mistake, two mistakes, three mistakes, whatever, it always seems to override any good thing that you did. From a magical childhood to you were abused, that's the way it is. Always Burns says, that's sad. I've heard too many stories like that in response to Carolyn. Hi, Kayla. Thanks for being here. Reek says, sounds like some Somali activity. Miguel says that's far from normal. People don't question churchianity. They think with reprobated minds that it's all legit. Yeah, and I think you were talking about me saying what's going on at TPUSA. People are saying it's normal. I think it's far from normal. And I think railroading people is far from normal. Lying to people is far from normal. It may be common because there are a lot of people who just lie and want to get over, but it's definitely not normal. Again, Chloe, I'm gonna figure this out. Can you just tell me what this is? 2138. The implications are staggering, cuts through the upper echelons of the conservative side. They are staggering. So something is definitely going on. Thank you so much. R.H. Erickson. Are here. So okay, I don't know. The screen names be hard for me. TPUSA, Felicia, therapy, and more. I'm with you. Thank you for being here. When we did tug of war in the 1970s, we broke the rope. Wow. Was it that thick, big rope that we know people use? And listen, I can't really say much. Listen, I have been so angry that I broke a 15-pound steel weight, banging it on the concrete, broke it right in half, just broke it. So sometimes we don't know our own strength. But yeah, I remember that. There's also a funny story. My daughter was cheering at the time, same school, and they had a cheer competition, and she was like, Mom, we came in second place, I think is what she said. And I was like, oh my God, that's great. Woo! Y'all came in second place. I was cheering. I was so excited. And then I go, how many people were in the competition? And she goes, 2. It was 2. And I immediately, and I'm like, okay, so y'all lost. If it's only 2, there's a winner and then there's a loser. That's just what it is. Okay, yes, you got it right. R.H. Erickson. Thank you. Ooh, yay for the little retarded kid, me. I did good on that one. Thank you so much. Yes, 2, Miguel. 2, but she was so excited, and then I just had to, I didn't want her to be one of these participation trophy people. I wanted them to excel and strive to be the best. So I had to break it down to her like, no, if it was just 2, sweetheart, there was a winner and then there was a loser, and unfortunately your cheer squad lost. Okay. Lost. Back to TPUSA. Again, I told you some of these people you're going to recognize, and I have been waiting to get to this one particular person. And I will say, I haven't seen anybody outside of Milo Yiannopoulos even come at them. This person is so likable. So likable. I like them. But they have something going on in their finances and how they relate to TPUSA that's very suspicious. I'm going to drop that tomorrow because I've been waiting now for 2-3 weeks whenever we started talking about this, because this person is so likable and so easy to overlook. But thankfully, we had a forensic accountant who investigated this, who these people were just people to him. It wasn't about the following on social media. It wasn't about how much they smile, how nice they are, how they put on this I'm the perfect husband and father persona. This person didn't care. It's just the facts. And I'm excited to get to who we're getting to tomorrow, because a lot of you will know this person. And that's all I'm going to say. But at this point, it's no longer about one person. This is about a system that pays the same insiders across every part of the organization. And systems don't exist by accident. This is all intentional to me, and I think they know exactly what they're doing. And I think Charlie knew, or knew to some degree, exactly what was going on, which is why he asked for a Doge style audit. He didn't get it prior to September 10th, but it was done. And it is something to see. Tomorrow, we're going to get Sharisa says, I knew it. Another day, shaking my head. I know, girl. I know. Miguel says that person sounds like a used car salesman. When I tell you the person, Miguel, they do give used car salesman vibes. Absolutely. But you're going to have to wait until tomorrow to see, because this particular person I have been waiting to get to. Because as I said, I like them. I like them. Could have sold me a car, a lemon, just because they're just so, happy, go lucky, smiling, like to talk, like to laugh, Would have sold me a lemon. I'm telling you. Would have sold me a lemon, and I would have squeezed it right off the lot. As a person who sits on a nonprofit board that has called for a full audit because 990s and financial reports were not matching the bank records and vendor policies, TPUSA got some splaining to do, Lucy. Let's effing go. Thank you, Girly Samurai Esquire. I will see you tomorrow, shaking my head on this one person that, gosh, I would have never thunk it. But it is what it is. I love y'all. I'll be here tomorrow, same place, same time, shaking my head about this person that I will reveal tomorrow. They all taking the donuts to the bank. You hear me? To the bank. Peace. I love you.